I don't know if you, as a head of state, went to the COP in Dubai.
Let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there. Do you know that Guyana has a forest forever that is the size of England and Scotland combined? A forest that stores 19.5 gigatons of carbon. A forest that we have kept alive. A forest that we have kept alive.
Does that give you the right? Does that give you the right to release all of this carbon?
Does that give you the right to lecture us on climate change? I am going to lecture you on climate change because we have kept this forest alive that stores 19.5 gigatons of carbon that you enjoy, that the world enjoy, that you don't pay us for, that you don't value, that you don't see a value in, that the people of Guyana has kept alive. Guess what? We have the lowest deforestation rate in the world. And guess what? Even with our greatest exploration of the oil and gas resource we have now, we will still be net zero. Guyana will still be net zero. With all our exploration, we'll still be net zero.
Powerful words, Mr. President. But
I am not completed as yet. I am not finished as yet. I am just not finished as yet. Because this is the hypocrisy that exists in the world. The world in the last 50 years has lost 65% of all its biodiversity. We have kept our biodiversity. Are you valuing it? Are you ready to pay for it? When is the developed world going to pay for it? Or are you in the pockets? Are you in the pockets of those who have damaged the environment? Are you in the pockets, are you and your system in the pockets of those who destroyed the environment through the Industrial Revolution and now lecturing us? Are you in their pockets? Are you paid by them? Are you paid to keep their message alive? There is no hypocrisy in our position.
The Center for International Environmental Law has described the oil and gas production in Guyana as turning your country from, as you rightly put it, a carbon sink into a potential, quote, carbon bomb. Now, you may say you have every right to exploit that oil and gas.
That is ridiculous. We, even with exploring and production of all our resources, we are going to still be carbon neutral. We are still going to be carbon neutral.
Let me quote to you Greenpeace, who say quite simply, to avoid the worst impacts of climate change, and you know that your own country is one of the most vulnerable to climate change because most of your population lives below sea level.
And we have paid, guess what? Guess what? We have paid for the mitigation. We have paid for the adaptation. We are the ones who have to find revenue. No.
I want to continue. I haven't finished telling you what Greenpeace say.
Yes, but let me tell
Greenpeace say we need to keep the majority of the world's remaining fossil fuels in the ground.
Yeah, Greenpeace can say that.
You're not doing that.
Greenpeace and you can say that. But we need to get resources. And the developing world, we need to get resources to build the sea defenses. We need to get sea defenses to build a drainage and irrigation system. You just said that we're 6 feet below sea level. Who is going to pay for the infrastructure? Who is going to pay for the drainage and irrigation? Who is going to pay for the development and advancement of our country? Are you going to pay? It's not coming from anywhere. It's not coming from Greenpeace or anyone else. Look at the adaptation budget that is required for the developing world. Where is the money coming from?
Isn't there a cynicism here in Georgetown, best expressed by your vice president, who said recently, because there is this climate change imperative to decarbonize, our policy is to get as much oil out of the ground as quickly as possible. Now, he said, that's harsh for those who think that you should be environmentally sound, but that is the reality of it. Those were very honest words from your vice president.
And that is what we are, honest. We are practical.
So you're rushing to get this oil out before any deal is done, to quote Dubai COP, to transition away from oil and gas.
You can say we are rushing, but we are very practical. We have this natural resource, and we are going to aggressively pursue this natural resource because we have to develop our country. We are committed to the development of this region. We have to create the opportunity for our people because no one is bringing that for us. No one is bringing that for us. No one is paying our agenda. No one is paying our agenda.
A final thought about what this means inside your own country. Earlier on, I referred to the fact that 40% of the Guyanese population currently still lives in poverty. And according to USAID, from a recent report, Guyana's political instability, which we also referred to, raises concerns that the country is unprepared for its newfound wealth. The tremendous influx of money opens many avenues for corruption. How do you, as president, ensure that that doesn't happen?
So when we came into government, we said that there are a number of things that we must do. First of all, there must be an arm's length relationship with the oil revenue. So first, the Minister of Finance has to declare all the revenue that comes into the system. If he does not declare that, within 30 days, there's a 10-year mandatory jail term for the Minister of Finance. Secondly, any revenue that is spent from oil and gas must pass through the budgetary process. So it has to go through the Parliament. It has to be debated in the Parliament. It then comes into the system. It is then audited by the Auditor General at the end of what it was intended for. And then, of course, the investment decision is made by a committee that is arm's length away, an independent committee that is arm's length away from the government.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel once again. So guys, I want us to watch and to listen to these powerful speeches and interview from the president of Guyana. His message has been getting attention around the world because he spoke directly about climate change, global inequality, slavery, reparation, and the treatment of developing country. Now, the president of Guyana is coming out and sending a warning message to the United States, to the powerful Western countries, to leave some of the Caribbean's country alone. So kindly guys, I want you to watch this till the end, then I'll be back with more.
People have benefited from slavery, and that's the reason why your country is better than many others countries. It's very easy for you to say, why is your country not doing okay? Why are you not moving forward? Of course, how can our country do okay when your country was benefiting, we were suffering? So it took us many, many years to recover, to be okay, to just breathe, to just drink some pure water. By the time you already owned many buildings, many stuff, many things, you were far ahead. Give us some time to cut. These people sometimes think they are way too clever. Like, you are stupid, you don't understand. That's a president for you. He speaks it like it is, he doesn't match his word, he's very calm, he's not screaming, but he's telling you the truth.
I'll give you an example. Excellencies, if it is, we all agree on ending and preventing wars. If it is, we all agree that the Security Council requires reform. If it is, we all agree that the international financial system is unfair and unjust to the developing world. And if it is, we all believe in climate, food, and energy security, then what is stopping us from acting? We will all be doomed in the court of conscience for knowing what is right while ignoring what is wrong. Madam President, of the myriad of challenges confronting our world, climate change threatens our very existence, adversely affecting development across all countries. Rising sea levels and temperatures, severe natural disasters, and shifting and extreme weather patterns disrupt agriculture and food security, threaten water supply, and displace communities. These impacts are particularly devastating for small island developing states. Each year, we make the annual pilgrimage to COP, filled with hope for tangible outcomes. And each year, we are regaled and renewed unkept promises are the order of the day. This cycle of hope, followed by disappointment, cannot continue if the Sustainable Development Goals are to be met. We must break free from this pattern of empty pledges. We must unequivocally and immediately fulfill all pledges for the sake of our planet and the future of all its inhabitants. Let me tell you about my country, Guyana, a country that is 83,000 square miles, 86% of which is tropical forests. Guyana has the second highest percentage forest cover on Earth and one of the lowest deforestation rate. Our forest stores 19.5 gigatons of carbon and sequesters more than 153 million tons annually. According to WWF, Guyana is one of the world's most important countries for biodiversity density. It straddles two of the richest biodiversity zones, the Guyana Shield and the Amazon. As a country, we are dedicated to the preservation of this vital global asset. I especially salute the indigenous peoples of Guyana, the Amerindians, who are the foremost stewards of this great natural heritage. We recognize their leadership, and 15% of all revenues earned from carbon sales are directly transferred to our indigenous communities. Madam President, even with our newfound natural resource, oil and gas, it would require less than 20% of sequestered carbon to offset our emissions at maximum output. We have preserved our biodiversity and know its value. We believe it is only fair and just that this global asset be monetized in a fair carbon market. Today, I am pleased to announce the launch of a global biodiversity alliance. We will convene the first Global Biodiversity Alliance Summit in 2025, which will focus on creating a market for biodiversity credits, scaling biodiversity conservation debt swaps, accelerating biodiversity bonds, establishing a blueprint for biodiversity taxonomies, and promoting nature-positive action. We do not make this announcement by mere words. Guyana is also committed to doubling its protected areas by December 2025 and achieving the global biodiversity target of 30% by 2030. These are real solutions that Guyana is putting forward to address the global problem of biodiversity loss. We do not lecture, we lead by example without arrogance. Madam President, according to the UN Food Security and Nutrition Report, in 2023, an estimated 28.9% of the global population, 2.3 billion people, were moderately or severely food insecure. The primary causes were conflict and insecurity, extreme weather events, including those related to El Nino and climate change and economic shocks. To effectively address food insecurity, we must take more concerted action to address its root causes, reducing conflict, mitigating climate change, and enhancing food production and trade in food commodities. By prioritizing peace and climate action, we can create environments where food systems, crops, and livelihoods are not threatened by conflict and weather extremes. In turn, enhancing food production and ensuring fair and efficient trade in food commodities can reduce food insecurity. So too can the full involvement of women and youth. In Guyana's National Agricultural Strategy and Policy, at least 35% of our agro-businesses will be owned by women and 60% by young people. While I've spoken of food insecurity, the global malnutrition rates are also alarming and must be addressed. Nutritious, safe, and sufficient food are crucial to a healthy population. Madam President, the United Nations must continue to be a beacon of hope amidst a turbulent global environment. The theme of this year's assembly, and I quote, leaving no one behind, acting together for the advancement of peace, sustainable development, and human dignity for present and future generations, end of quote, resonates with the vision set out in the United Nations Charter. This vision demands decisive action and enlightened multilateralism. Today, we find ourselves in a world where the quest for peace is met with a defiant echo of conflict, where the promise of sustainable development is eclipsed by the dangerous specter of climate change and food insecurity, and where the dignity of millions of people is trampled upon with impunity. In Ukraine, the sovereignty and territorial integrity of a nation are being violated. Yet, decisive action by the United Nations Security Council remains fettered by the veto. Justice demands that we defend the territorial integrity of all states, large, small, powerful, and weak. Equally concerning is the conflict in Sudan, which rages on with devastating consequences for the people of that country, including famine and mass displacement. This conflict will continue to undermine efforts to achieve lasting peace and sustainable development. This assembly must also condemn the continued oppression and persecution by the Taliban of women and girls in Afghanistan, who face not just lack of access to education and restrictions on their movements, but now even their voices cannot be heard in public. Closer to my home, CARICOM has been actively supporting a Haitian-led process for the restoration of democracy, peace, and stability in Haiti. We welcome the deployment of the UN-authorized multinational security support mission led by Kenya as a crucial step towards stabilizing the security situation. We call on the international community to urgently scale up financing for the MSS and secure its renewed authorization so that the mission can succeed. We must also address the dire humanitarian situation where almost half of Haiti's population suffer from acute hunger, mass displacement, and women and girls are enduring brutal violence, including sexual violence. Guyana is leading CARICOM's effort in mobilizing humanitarian effort and support for Haiti. Excellencies, I'll be reaching out to you for your support. We must stay the course with our Haitian brothers and sisters in their quest for durable peace and sustainable development. The people of Haiti deserve nothing less. Madam President, peace, stability, and safety are no more imperiled than in Gaza. Guyana reiterates its strong condemnation of the October 7 attacks by Hamas on Israel. However, the collective punishment of an entire population, including the indiscriminate slaughter of civilians, most of whom are women and children, has long gone beyond the realm of self-defense. As the world watches on helplessly, Israel continues to flout its international obligations, including the orders of the ICJ and successive Security Council resolutions. Instead, the right of self-defense is being used as a weapon of mass extermination, stoking legitimate fears of genocide. No state, large or small, should feel comfortable and safe when such atrocities are allowed to continue with impunity. The war in Gaza must end now. We reiterate our demand for an immediate ceasefire and the release of all hostages and Palestinians illegally detained. Madam President, for more than 75 years, the Palestinian people have been denied their right of self-determination. We must advance the two-state solution, as this remains the only viable option for a future where Palestinians and Israelis live in peace and security. Turning to our brothers and sisters in Cuba, their right to development continues to be stymied by the economic embargo. Guyana renews its call for revocation of the embargo and the removal of Cuba from the list of state sponsors of terrorism. Madam President, the United Nations has a special responsibility for the security of small states. Small states look to multilateralism and the rule of international law to protect them from foreign aggression. Guyana is a small state that has had to contend with aggression from the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela for all 58 years of our nationhood. International law and its strict application have been our armor and our shield in our determination to protect ourselves from this aggression. We remind this august assembly that the border between Guyana and Venezuela was fully, finally, and perfectly settled in an 1899 award by an international tribunal. Venezuela was fully represented in that tribunal, whose award it proclaimed in its own Congress and welcomed for more than 6 decades. Before reopening the issue on the eve of Guyana's independence, claiming 2/3 of our territory. This controversy, initiated by Venezuela, was submitted by Guyana to the International Court of Justice in accordance with a decision of the United Nations Secretary General and consistent with our position to settle this matter by legal and peaceful means. In 2023, in light of intensified acts of aggression by Venezuela, the ICJ issued provisional measures stating that, and I quote, pending a final decision in the case, the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela shall refrain from taking any action which would modify the situation that currently prevails in the territory in dispute, whereby the Cooperative Republic of Guyana administers and exercises control over the area, end of quote. After years of refusing to participate in the proceedings of the ICJ and stating that it does not recognize the jurisdiction of the court, the Venezuelan government has now submitted a counter memorial to Guyana's submission. We welcome Venezuela's decision to participate in the court's proceedings and express the hope that Venezuela will accept the decision of the court, as Guyana has long pledged to do. I reaffirm Guyana's unwavering commitment to a peaceful resolution of this long-standing controversy in full conformity with international law and the principles set forth in the United Nations Charter. Madam President, peace, development, and human rights are pillars of the United Nations. We all aspire for a form of multilateralism that is equitable, inclusive, and ensures that no one is left behind. Women's participation in leadership in private and public sectors are integral to this. There is a growing movement in the developing world calling for the democratization of global political and economic relations. The disproportionate concentration of power favors a few powerful nations, whilst marginalizing the voices and concern of the broader international community. Developing countries are justly demanding more inclusive and representative decision-making processes in institutions and organs such as the UN Security Council, the World Bank, and the IMF. The World Trade Organization must also be reformed to ensure fairer trade for developing countries. These reforms must go beyond fair representation and ensure that the policies and practices of these institutions align with the developmental needs and aspirations of all countries. In the emerging global order, we must ensure the United Nations remains at the forefront of global governance. If multilateralism is to trump unilateralism, the UN's role as the world's foremost multilateral organization is pivotal. With the necessary resources and resolve, the UN can ensure a future of peace, sustainable development, and human dignity. The future we seek, a future where no one is left behind, demands courageous action. The UN must fulfill its role as a custodian of greater global peace, the foremost promoter of sustainable development, and an unflinching protector of human rights, human dignity, and international law. And since the UN is all of us, this body of nations, this is a collective responsibility for us all. Let us not be found wanting. Let us act together for the advancement of peace, for the achievement of sustainable development, and the preservation of human dignity, now and for generations to come. I thank you.
Guys, I hope you have watched those compilations of videos and interview from the president of Guyana. And before I continue, guys, remember to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and also give this video a thumbs up, because when we give this video a thumbs up, according to YouTube algorithm, it will recommend this video to a lot of people, and a lot of people, they will see this viral interview. So guys, you have seen those compilations of video, and you have seen how Guyana president, he has come out strongly and defended Guyana, not only Guyana, with also some of the Caribbean country. He feels like the Western countries, the United States, they are not treating this country, the Caribbean countries, fairly, because he feels that there is an inequality. And also for over so many years, these people that have been coming out and always seeing the bad things which it is happening in the Caribbean. They always talk about the bad things. They will always talk about corruption, how the leaders, they are puppet, how the leaders, they are not working according to the will of the people. Those are the things that the Western always sees and talk and spread those bad information, but they will not come out and talk about the bad things that they did. You can remember what it is going on in Haiti. Haiti right now, it is, they are fighting, they're in a war because of the Western countries, the people, the Western country, that the one who brought this fight in Haiti. You can see how you can see the gangs which it is rising in the Caribbean, like in Jamaicans. And when you go deeper and find out the people who are funding these gangs in Jamaica or in any other Caribbean country, you will see that the ones who are funding them, they don't want to see this country settled. They don't want to see peace in this country. And that's why the Prime Minister of Barbados, he has come out boldly and stand defending the Caribbean countries and also the Caribbean leaders. And also he has been talking about also reparation. So reparation, and he's coming out and say that these people, they need to pay reparation. Why is it hard for them to come out and pay the reparation? This reparation, they're not asking for handout. This reparation, they need to pay so that they can compensate. They can pay for the damage that they caused. They can pay for those families who they are still having the scars and the memories of their what happened to their ancestor, to their forefathers. So these reparations, they need to pay. So guys, one thing that immediately stand out is how strongly the president of Guyana defended his country against criticism over oil production. His argument is simple. Guyana has one of the largest areas of protected tropical forest in the world. According to him, these forests store massive amount of carbon and help the entire planet fight climate change. His question is this: if Guyana has spent decades protecting its forest while many richer countries cleared large area of their own forest during industrialization, why should Guyana now be prevented from using its natural resource to develop? Now, he believes there is a double standard. On one hand, wealthy nations tell developing countries to reduce emission and protected nature. On the other hand, many of those same countries became rich through industries that produce huge amount of pollution over many decades. Now, the president argued that countries like Guyana are already making a major contribution by preserving forests that absorb carbon from the atmosphere. In his views, the world benefit from these forests, yet countries protecting them are not adequately compensated. Now, another major point he raised was about economic development. Guyana is a country that still faces challenges such as poverty, infrastructure, needed food protection, drainage system, education, healthcare, and economic opportunities. Now, the president of Guyana argued that developing countries need money to solve this problem. He says that oil revenue can help fund school, hospital, roads, sea, defenses, defenses and other important projects that improve people's lives. From his perspective, environment organization and wealthy countries often tell developing nations what they should not do, but they do not provide enough financial support to help those countries achieve development goals. Now, this is why he insisted that Guyana has the right to use its natural resources while continuing to protect its forest. Another powerful section of the interview focused on slavery and reparation. Now, the president made it clear that he believes the effect of slavery did not disappear when slavery officially ended. His argument is that slavery helped build wealth in some countries while leaving many former colonies economically disadvantaged for generations. According to him, the issue is not about blaming people alive today for action committed hundreds of years ago. Instead, he argued that society and institutions that benefited from slavery should acknowledge the long-term economic and social consequences that still affect many countries today. He believes the discussion should focus on historical responsibility and finding ways to address inequalities that originated during that period. Whether people agree or disagree with reparation, there is no doubt that the topic remains highly controversial and emotional. Now, the president also criticized what he sees as unequal treatment of global crisis. He pointed out that some conflict and humanitarian emergencies receive enormous international attention, funding and media coverage, while others receive much less attention. His broader argument is that every human life should have equal value regardless of where people live. He believes that poorer nations often struggle to receive the same level of support and urgency that wealthier or strategically important regions receive. This criticism reflects a wider frustration shared by many leaders in developing countries who felt that international institutions sometimes fail to address global problems fairly. Another issue he discussed was international law and the protection of smaller countries. Guyana has an ongoing border dispute with Venezuela, and the president emphasized the importance of resolving disagreements through legal and peaceful means. He argued that international law should protect all nations equally, whether they are large or small. For smaller countries, strong international institutions are often viewed as essential because they provide a peaceful way to settle dispute without resorting to conflict. Now, the president also spent time discussing climate justice. This idea is becoming increasingly important around the world. Climate justice is the belief that countries most are responsible for historical greenhouse gas emission should play a large role in helping countries that are suffering the effect of climate change. Many developing nations contribute relatively little to global emission but are often among the most vulnerable to hurricanes, drought, and rising sea level. The president argued that this imbalance should be recognized when creating international climate policies. So guys, I hope you have listened this far and you have seen how the president of Guyana, he has come out and strongly defended Guyana, and also not only Guyana, with also some of the Caribbean countries, Jamaica, Barbados. One thing I really love about the president of Guyana, he always come out and defend the Caribbean country because he feels that for a very long time there have been there was no equality from the small countries, from the Caribbean country, because some of these big countries, the Western countries, they have been always seeing the Caribbean leaders as the country which there is no need for them to get help. You can see during the climate change, you can see whether there is a crisis, you can see how these people that have been responding to this small country, the developing country. And that's why the president of Guyana is coming out and boldly telling these people that you need also to consider treating the countries in the Caribbean also equally, because you cannot just come out and saying that, oh, there's a corruption in the Caribbean, the leaders are not working, there's a disaster, but you guys are not doing anything to help these countries in the Caribbean. And that's why you can see this interview is going viral because of how bold, sorry guys, this interview from the president of Guyana is going viral because of how bold he has come out and defended some of the Caribbean countries. So kindly guys, subscribe if you haven't. See you on my next one guys. Bye bye.